Hello, 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 everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. Tonight, we are going to talk about grant writing for women-owned businesses and women-led nonprofits. My name is Linda Peavy, and I'm going to be your host for this evening. So come on into the webinar, and what I want you to do is tell me who is in the room. I'm in chilly, Ohio, where it's like a 34 degrees. So let me know who's with me tonight. Give your city or your state a shout out. I want to see you in the chat so I know who's here. Again, my name is Linda Peavy. I'm the owner of LaPav Consulting, and I am going to be your hostess for this evening, where we are going to talk about how we can get you grant money, grant research, and grant writing. So, hey, we have Angela Peavy. That name sounds familiar, from Detroit. And Letitia from Montgomery, Alabama. My parents are from Alabama. Erica from North Carolina. Etsy is in the room. South Carolina is in the room. Liana from Cabo San Lucas. Hey, Mexico. Mexico is in the house tonight. Alicia from Fort Washington, Maryland. Latanya from Charlotte, North Carolina. We got Minnesota. We got Louisiana. We got Maryland. We got Omaha, Nebraska. We got sunny Florida. Oh, thank you so much for spending this time with me. We are going to get started because those of you who know anything about me know that this is going to be a no fluff zone. I have so much information to share with you. So we are going to get started. Now, just so you know, I go a little fast because I have a lot of information to share. This webinar is recorded, okay? It is going to be recorded and you are going to get a replay afterwards. So don't worry if you can't keep up and your hand is just can't write fast enough, because I'm going to be sharing a lot of information. So thank you so much. The first thing I'm going to do is show my 30-second TV commercial, which just gives you a little bit more information about me and who I am. So I'm going to go to the share screen, and like I always say, come through, Forest Technology, come through. All right, so let me pull up. Let's see, let me make sure my presentation, there we are, is all pulled up. There it is. So now we're going to go to share the screen. And there we are. All right, we're going to go to the top here and we are going to get started. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Linda Peavy, owner of LaPav Consulting. My passion is to place your organization on the path to excellence. Are you struggling to communicate your message, reach target audiences, or secure funding? From marketing communications to grant writing, we achieve your goals. We've worked with high-profile clients and have secured $17 million in funding for charter schools and nonprofits. Call today to discuss what your success looks like and how LaPav Consulting can help.
All right, so that's just a little bit more information about me. I want to make sure everybody is in the right place. This is grant writing for women-owned businesses and women-led nonprofits. And this is the 7 o'clock session. I had a session this a little bit earlier at noon. And so we're going to go through, as I go through the presentation, I'm going to have a very in-depth Q&A at the end. And those of you who know me know I address every question. So get your questions ready. Make sure you put your questions either in the Q&A or in the chat, because I go through both to make sure I'm not missing any questions. So a little bit more about me. I'm known as the Grants Queen because I have secured more than $17 million in funding and development for my clients. And those of you who know, there's a difference between writing the grant and securing the bag and securing the fund. And I've been blessed enough to be able to secure over $17 million worth of funding for my clients. I've been writing grants for over 14 years. This is the 15th year of my company, LaPav Consulting, me being on my own for 15 years, full time. So I'm blessed to still be here. And so part of what I do when it comes to grants is that I have written that request for proposal that you complete. I have written the scoring template. I've helped nonprofits and organizations build those partnerships that are so important that we're going to talk about later. I give grant writing workshops all across the country to various organizations, and I've been an executive director of a nonprofit. So let me know who's here with me. Are you a for-profit, or are you a nonprofit? Or recently I have found that there are so many for-profits that are now creating nonprofits. So maybe you're both. So let me know in the chat who's with me. Are you a for-profit, nonprofit? So we have a for-profit. Letitia's a for-profit. Chef Chambers is both. We have nonprofit, lots of nonprofits, both. For-profit. All right. So I'm so happy to see so many for-profits starting nonprofit organizations. So I've led a nonprofit. I have a small business now. So I've been in both shoes. A little bit more about my journey to getting to the $17 million. I used to be a publishing executive, and I got hurt. And I had to come home to Cleveland. I was living in Pennsylvania, and I came home to Cleveland, where I was born and raised, and literally came back in a wheelchair because I was injured. And it took me 2 years to recuperate. After the 2 years, I couldn't find a job, even though I had tons of experience in marketing and in publishing. As you might know, right, Cleveland, Ohio is not exactly the publishing mecca of the country. So I found myself without a job, and I started LaPav Consulting, and that was 2008. So let me know, for those of you who have your businesses, was it like a dream of yours to start a for-profit? Or like me, it was completely out of necessity because you like to eat and you wanted a roof over your head. So let me know whether or not both. Cassandra says both. So was it a dream of yours to start both? Latasha, both. It was a dream, plus you wanted to have a roof over your head, right? And so I started the business, and one of my first jobs was to become a contract executive director of a nonprofit. And literally the first week on the job, I was called into the board of directors office. And I was told that I had to literally write a grant to save my job. I had to write a grant that would pay for the salary of the executive director, which was my position. And of course, they didn't tell me this when I was interviewing, but I wanted to stay. And so I had to learn about grant writing. I didn't know anything about grants, but I learned, and I really got to understand that there is a connection between writing that grant, right, and being able to get cash, the cash that you need for your organization. But there's a process, and that's what we're going to talk about today, is what is the process. So this is what we're going to cover. Why this class, the 3 keys to funding, the entire philanthropic landscape has completely changed. Grant basics. How do you prepare to write applications? What to write, how to write, and then how do you attract the right funder? Because that is critical. And then we're going to talk a little bit about bid proposals and capacity or capability statements for you for-profits. And then we're going to talk about really how do you get that application notice. Then we're going to get into the grant research, because that's how you determine the various funders and foundations that are available. And then I'm going to give you a list of available grant opportunities, so you don't want to miss that. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because we have an in-depth Q&A at the end, and then I have a bonus surprise for you. So don't go anywhere. All right. Why this class, right? Well, we know women entrepreneurs, we need help, right? And we don't always want to get loans, right? We always hear about loans being provided, but you know what? We don't always want loans. We want free money, grant money. However, grant writing is a skill, and it is very costly. I'm a professional grant writer, so someone at my skill level, we charge between $100 to $200 per hour to write grants. However, you can learn those skills to place your organization in a position to win grants. Like, no one is going to tell your story better than you. So instead of paying a grant writer, why not learn the skill set yourself, so that you, one, save money, and then you get money if you're successful. But there is a process, and that is what I'm going to show you tonight, is the process. Now, what you need to know is that 2 different incidents completely changed the landscape of philanthropy and giving. One is COVID-19. So before COVID-19, it was almost unheard of for any for-profit to get a grant, right? Typically, when you thought about grants, you thought about what? Nonprofits. However, through COVID-19, so many small businesses went under, right? We were forced to shutter, and foundations took notice and major corporations took notice, and they wanted to do something to help so many of the small businesses that were being forced to close. So what did they do? They had pools of money, so they created grant opportunities. That is why now there are more grants than I have ever seen for specifically women-owned businesses, and absolutely for-profit businesses, but nonprofits as well. So if you come across any of those COVID-19 grants, now we know we're out of the emergency period, we're in what's called recovery, but those are still available. Some of the COVID-19 grants are available. What you want to do is talk about how COVID-19 affected you. Did you have to close? Did you have to lay off employees, right? Did you have to shutter? Did you have to reopen? So if you come across those grants, just really talk about how COVID-19 affected you. The other occurrence was the George Floyd incident, right? When George Floyd was murdered. Once again, foundations, right? And your major corporations said, we have to do something to address racial injustice. We have to do something in this area of what you might have heard of as DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And what was one of the easiest things they could do? Because again, they have pools of cash. They decided to create grants for-profit minority organizations, grants for women organizations, and it didn't matter if you were nonprofit or for-profit. That's why right now there's more money than ever available to especially women-owned businesses and women-led nonprofits, and especially if you're Black-owned as well, because so much of the money has been going and has been created so that minority organizations and Black-owned organizations could receive funding, and that absolutely includes women-owned organizations as well. So now we're going to talk about grant basics, right? What do you need to know? You need to know that grants are not paid back, okay? Now, for you nonprofits in the webinar, you need to get your 501c3, right? Because the overwhelming majority of foundations will require that you have a 501c3, even if you're a school, even if you're a church, because many of these foundations, based on their guidelines, they can only give money to a 501c3. Now, the good news is that instead of taking 3 to 6 months, it's now only taking 6 to 8 weeks to get your 501c3. So what is it? That's your tax exempt charitable organization designation by the Internal Revenue Service. It means that you're tax exempt, but also if you have donors that donate to you, those donations are also able to be listed as charitable deductions on their tax returns. Now, you want to avoid fiscal agents. What is a fiscal agent? A fiscal agent is an organization that has their 501c3. They're going to handle the money for you, but that's exactly why foundations don't want to use them. If they're giving you grant money, they want to make sure that that money is going directly to you and not through a third party. So nonprofits, make sure you get your own 501c3. Now, look at this number here. Most people thought, oh my gosh, giving was down, nobody's giving, we're in a pandemic, but look what happened. In 2021, this is just foundation giving, increased to over $90 billion. That was a 3.4 increase from 2020. And now in 2022, when that number comes out, it's going to be even higher. This is a significant amount of money. The money is there. It's about how do you get it? And look, it's over $90 billion. We don't need it all, right? We just need a little bit of the money, right? So I want you to put into the chat, I just need a little bit, right? We just need a little bit of the $90 billion. Can you imagine what you could do with just a little bit of $90 billion? How you could fund your organization, right? Open up your business, have that dream become reality. So I want to see you put in the chat, just a little bit, right? You just need, that's right, Letitia, Robin, Lisa, we just need a little bit. That's it, just a little bit of it. And we're going to talk today about how you go about getting a little bit of the $90 billion. First, we're going to talk about how do you prepare to write grants. This is where so many organizations make a mistake. They look at a grant application, they download it, and they start completing it. You have to prepare to write grants. And I always like for clients to just become familiar with basic writing. Now there's 5 basic writing skills. We're going to ignore the first 4 and go right to editing and rewriting, because what you don't want to do is submit a grant application that's full of grammatical errors. So what I want you to do, I'm going to be dropping gems all evening and giving you the tea. This is the first cup of tea, and this is the first homework for you. Grammarly. Grammarly is a phenomenal, free, you're going to hear that word a lot tonight, free software tool that will allow you the mechanism for editing your document. So Grammarly is an editing software tool, and it's free. I'm a professional editor and professional writer. I love Grammarly. I have the professional version, which if you want that is about $150 a year, but the free version is great. And this article will help you to improve your writing skills. Improve writing skills dramatically by doing these 15 things. So my assistant here is Malone. Thank you so much. And if you could just drop that into the chat. All right, that would be fantastic. Okay, so make sure at the end that you're grabbing this particular link so that you'll have it. Next, how do you prepare to write grants? You get your documents in order, your EIN, your employer identification number, again, your 501c3 if you're a nonprofit, don't use a fiscal agent. And next, your certificate of incorporation, your bylaws, and your state certification. This becomes important. I had a young lady on my webinar, and she was indicating that she was applying for a grant, and the competition was so stiff. She was the only one that got the grant. Why? Because she had her state certification. She had her business license, right? She could prove that she was legally allowed to do business in her state. You're going to need this business license. So make sure, more homework, you go to your Secretary of State's website. It's different for every state, obviously. Your Secretary of State's website, look for your business name and make sure you have a valid business license. All right, next, documents, your board members, right? Your staff. Letters of support become important because they're an opportunity for people who support you to talk about your organization, and the foundation is going to read these letters. So who are you getting letters from? It could be from your church, your pastor, your vendors, right? Your community leaders, politicians. So make sure you give them time to get those letters together before you start writing the grant. Now, audited financial statement, this is going to be completed by a CPA. Some grant applications ask for them, some don't. Now, the current operating budget becomes really important because for you startups, you may think, well, I'm just starting, I don't have a budget. That is a crucial time to get a budget, because the budget will allow you to understand how much money is it going to take for you to open? What are you going to need? And when you're creating that budget, you're going to see where there are gaps, right? And loopholes, right? You may look at the budget and realize, okay, I may have some money to pay for staff, but I don't have any money for marketing. Okay, I may need a grant for marketing. So by creating that budget, it allows you to determine, one, how much money is it going to take for you to open and operate, but also where should you be asking for grants. Also, you want a list of any other funding sources that you have. So if you have previous grants, list them in the grant application, right? Because it proves to the foundation that there are other organizations that believe in your mission. It doesn't have to be money. Perhaps an organization gave you a donation, right? Or an in-kind donation or an in-kind service. Make sure you include that information, because keep in mind, no funder wants to be the only one. Why? Because if you don't get that grant the next year, and we know that grants are not guaranteed, they don't want to be placed in a position where your program goes away. They want to see that you have additional funding from other organizations. So all of this information you want to be able to list on the application. Now, what do you write? These are your typical components of a grant application. I'm going to go through the summary here, and then we're going to go through them one by one. So this is what you typically see on the grant application. Make sure you put your questions in the chat and the Q&A. summary, mission, history, leadership, description of organization, statement of need, description of your, whatever your program or your project is, community partnerships, your outputs, outcomes, impact, your staff, your board members, your budget, and sustainability, which that's fun. We're going to get to that later on. All right, we're going to go through these one by one. Summary. What do you need to know about the summary? Don't be fooled. It is the first component of the grant application, but you always write it last. Okay, you always write it last. Why? Because you're going to pull the most compelling components of that grant application to put into the summary. So you'll see it first, but you always write it last. Your mission vision. Now, all of you should have a mission statement, right? But do you have a vision statement? Because you're going to be asked for a vision statement, more homework. If you don't have one, create one. What is it? A vision is what you would like to have happen in the future if you're able to implement your mission. What is your mission? That's what you're doing now, right? Your aims and your goals, but your vision is what you would like to have happen if you're able to realize your mission statement. Why is the mission so important? Because that is the very statement that you are going to align to a funder, right? You want to make sure you match up with funders perfectly. So if you are providing services for K through 12 education, well, you don't want to go to a foundation that is focused on veterans. So look at the mission statement of the organization and make sure there's some alignment there before you determine whether or not you're going to apply for a grant. Next, history. That section includes what is the history of the organization. So many of you who are new, you might think, well, I don't have a history. Every organization has a history, right? Because you're going to be talking about what was the impetus for you starting the organization. I like to give the example of a retired principal. She's opening up a tutoring service, right? Well, you might think this is new. She doesn't have a history, but she's a retired principal. She's been in schools, K through 12 schools, for 20 years. And she was able to see that the math and reading proficiency levels were below grade. And in order to try to bring those proficiency levels up, she started a tutoring organization. So what she saw in the school was an impetus for her starting her organization, right? So she's going to talk about those experiences and why she started the organization in the history section. All right, so everyone has a history. Leadership, that's pretty simple. That's your executive leadership, your CEO, your COO, and also your board, because your board members, they're part of your leadership as well. Next, description of your organization, right? This is where you're really going to talk about your track record of working with whatever your target population is, right? And you know what that is. We'll talk about that in a second. What has been your success rate? What has been your success factors, right? So when you describe your organization, you're going to talk about how successful you've been or how successful you will be, right? Based on maybe your experience with the target population or the research you've done that will say you're going to be successful. Next, the statement of need. What is the problem, right? And what you need to know is that there's always a problem, no matter what it is that you're doing, no matter your service or your project or your product, you are addressing some issue that you have to talk about in the grant application, right? So let's say you're a service organization, you provide career development. You help people who've been either fired or maybe they've resigned. And your services will help them determine, should I go back to a 9-to-5 or maybe I want to become an entrepreneur? You might be thinking, well, how are you solving a problem there? We have very talented people, right, that are outside the job market. They're outside of the job market. They have skills. They want to be able to work. And that's an issue when you have talented people who are not actively working. So that's one of the issues that you're going to be helping to solve by helping to place them and have them determine what their next move is going to be. I always like to use the example of the bakery, a bakery that wants to relocate in a downtown area, right? And you might be thinking, we're talking about cookies and cupcakes. Like, what problem is she possibly solving with cookies and cupcakes? Well, the location that she's going to hopefully be in, maybe was not a successful location for all of the prior businesses, right? So by her relocating to this area downtown, she is contributing to the economic development of that part of the city, right? Also, because she has gourmet baked goods, she's helping the businesses in the area to maybe impress their clients because she has these phenomenal baked items, right, as a part of her service. So you always have to think about, how am I addressing an issue, right? Because that very issue is how you're going to find your perfect funder, because you're going to match whatever that problem is to the funder's areas of interest, right? And how do you find out what their interest is? Whether it's a foundation or a company, those who are giving out grants, right? Well, you could try to go to their website, but 90% of foundations don't have a website. I'll say that again, 90% of foundations do not have a website. So how do you find information? Okay, this is another cup of tea. The 990 form. So the 990 is the tax document for nonprofits and organizations and foundations. It is a gold mine, right? Because that 990 form is going to give you information about the leadership of the foundation, maybe the board members, senior leadership. But if you scroll to the very back of the 990, there's almost always a document that is going to list where that organization provided donations to. And so you're looking for similar organizations. So if you have a nonprofit where you utilize animals to help heal veterans, for example, and you see that this organization is given to maybe an equestrian program, right, that helps heal veterans, you know that, okay, that's a match. So this is a great opportunity for me to reach out to that nonprofit. Now, how do you get the 990? Well, you could pay organizations and services to allow you to go on their website and look at 990s that they have, or free. You're going to hear that word all evening, free. You can utilize this particular website and get access to all 990s free of charge. projects.propublica.org/nonprofits. So you want to be able to utilize this link. It's going to give you the 990 form, which again is a gold mine. So I want to make sure, yep, that's into the chat. Absolutely. So you want to make sure you grab that, because that 990 is a gold mine, because keep in mind, 90% of foundations don't have a website. So you have to be able to get access to these people. Now, target population, who are you helping? I hear this answer all the time, and it's the wrong one. Like, I'm helping everybody. I want to help everybody. You cannot help everybody, right? You have to think about what person benefits most from your service or your product. Who is that person? What is that person's habits? What do they do? What are their demographics, right? So gender, maybe your service is for women. Ethnicity, maybe your product is for African Americans. Income, maybe your service is for those who live below the federal poverty line. Age, maybe you have a service that is just for senior citizens, right? You have to think about who is best served by whatever your project or your product is. It could be geography. Maybe you look into a particular area, geography, that you want to serve, or maybe you serve all over the country. Either way, when you want to get demographics, you want to be able to target your audience, and you want fast facts. Absolutely go to the US Census Fast Facts. They are phenomenal. Again, a free site, take a sip of water, that will provide you with demographic information that will help you determine who your market is, what do they do, where do they live. All right. What I'm talking about is really storytelling. How do you tell your story? That is what is going to set your application apart from everybody else. Because at the end of the day, you have to think about the fact that you are selling your organization to this foundation or this business. But when you're telling your story, make sure you don't make yourself the hero, right? The target population, whomever it is that you're serving, that person is at the center of the story, not you, right? Why? because the transformation happens within the target population or community, not you. Okay, let's think about the principal with the tutoring organization. Well, if she can help students bring their math and reading up to grade level, they have a better chance of graduating, maybe going to college or taking a trade or becoming a part of the armed services. The transformation happens with them, right? Not you. So you want to focus on how you're helping serve your target population. Now, let's go back to the bakery, right? Because you may be thinking, well, what's the transformation there? Is that she's selling baked goods? Well, maybe she's helping to transform her community by being there and contributing to the economic development of that area. Or maybe these are the best cupcakes anybody has ever tasted, right? Maybe she's serving her businesses because now they can impress their clients with these, unbelievable baked goods, right? So you always want to talk about how you're providing some level of change or transformation in the population or the community that you serve. So think about, are you telling your story the best, right? You want to show how you change lives, right? What kind of outcomes have been achieved? What do? You do this by using emotions, right? You want to use real examples, testimonials, case studies. One of the best ways you can do that is with video. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You can produce a 2 to 3 minute video, or literally you can have your clients use their phone. Everybody knows I'm an Android person, but those of you with iPhones, you also put that phone in front of your customer and have them talking to that phone and talk about how your services changed them. They could talk about the fact that this is the best cupcake they've ever tasted, right? For those of you with websites, on the homepage of your website, you should have a testimonial or video, right? I've been in so many meetings with so many different foundation directors, and we're, going on and on talking about the organization and even the target population. But once we put on that video, you can literally see the change in their emotions when they see someone talking to them about how their lives have been changed by whatever service it is that you've been able to provide. So please, please, please use videos. Homepage of your website, there should be videos. Now you have a decision to make. Are you going to be asking for operating dollars or program project service dollars? What is the difference? If you ask for general operating support, you decide where to put the money. Maybe it's to pay your lease, maybe it's to pay IT, maybe it's to hire staff, right? Or maybe it's a particular project that you want to fund. Let's take the restaurant. She wants to start a takeout service, a delivery service, right? So she's going to be asking for money to help pay for the expenses of a delivery service. So you have to decide, where do you want to provide funding? Now, what you need to know is that you can apply for everything, right? You can apply for operating dollars at the same time that you are applying for program project dollars, right? It is not one or the other. Also, and this is what people don't understand, you can apply to multiple foundations for the same project, right? So let's take the delivery service that the restaurant wants to open, and she applies for a $20,000 grant from Foundation A and a $20,000 grant from Foundation B, right? Well, what if she gets both of the grants, right? Well, what you're not going to do is give the money back. That is a no-no. But what you do, since you have double the money, okay, let's say you were going to hire staff with the $20,000. Now you hire 2 people instead of 1, right? Don't ever think that you can apply for multiple dollars from multiple organizations, because you should be doing that, right? Because no grant is guaranteed. You should be looking at a number of different organizations. What you want to do is really consider, where are your greatest needs when it comes to, should I be asking for operating dollars from this organization or program project dollars? Also keep in mind that only about 32% of organizations even provide operating grants. Why? Because again, you decide where to apply the funds, and that's less control that the foundation has. All right. Next, you're going to describe again, whatever your project or service is. Again, how has it been successful? Why has it been successful? Use your track record. If it's something new, Why will it be successful? Let's say that principal is using like project-based learning to help the kids that she's teaching math and tutoring to. Well, project-based learning, if that's the mechanism that she's going to use, if that's the learning model, she needs to make sure that that learning model is going to work for urban kids that are in a particular grade, right? That means she's done her research. So make sure if it's something new that you're using, that you provide research showing that whatever that item is, whatever that project is, whatever that mechanism is, excuse me, that you have proof that it does work for a particular audience, right? But at the end of the day, you have to make sure that you are addressing an issue or a problem. All right, community partnerships are critical. You're going to see this question on almost every grant application. Doesn't matter if you're nonprofit or for-profit. This is really important. However, too many for-profits think that, look, I don't want to share my organization. I don't want to have a partner because I don't want to sign any agreements where I'm giving up a percentage of my company. No, 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 no. That's not what a community partnership is or has to be. You could list on that grant application a third party, right? Your third party vendor as a potential community partner, right? There could simply be an exchange of services where there's no money involved. But this becomes really important, especially if you are a new nonprofit or for-profit and you want to partner with a very old, well-established community partner. I was working on a grant for a third grade class that was in an urban school. And we were going to work with the Cleveland Orchestra. They were going to come in after school and teach these third graders violin. Now, the Cleveland Orchestra is one of the greatest orchestras in the world. So you can imagine how great it looked on that grant application that this one small little urban school is partnering with the Cleveland Orchestra, right, for a program. You could be partnering with universities, women's business organizations, Greek organizations, the Y, even other women-owned businesses. So I'll give you the example of the bakery. That bakery could go into partnership with the event planner where the bakery is recommending the event planner. Maybe there's event planning flyers, right, for upcoming events in the bakery. And the event planner could also provide flyers so that people could know there's a bakery available, or she could utilize the service of the bakery. So there are so many ways that you can create partnerships with organizations without there being an exchange of money. And it becomes really important because almost every application I've seen lately, they're going to ask you about how are you connecting with your community. Now, you want to talk about if you get the money, how are you going to show in that grant application that there are going to be real results, right? It's a little bit of forecasting, but don't let that term scare you. Some grant applications will only ask for outputs, others outcomes, others impacts. Some will ask for all three. That's why we're going to go through all three of them. What are the outputs? Well, those are the immediate results. You give me a grant for $20,000. This is what I'm going to do with it. Outcomes are the things that take place to change the activities in about 6 months to a year. So in 6 months to a year, because you gave me $20,000 and I had this output, this is going to be the outcome. Now, impact, that's usually a year or longer, right? So in a year, this is what is going to happen because of the outcomes, because of the output. So one really relies upon the other. So I'm going to give you an example. A daycare center wanted $20,000 to open, right? And she input on the grant application, you give me the $20,000, we are going to open our doors. We're going to serve 100 families and 250 children. That's the output. That's going to happen immediately. Now, in 6 months, because we're open, we're serving these families, our daycare center is going to grow to capacity by 40%, right? And we're going to start 24/7 services, 24-hour services, 7 days a week. That's our output. That's our outcome, as a result of our output. Now, the impact, this is going to happen maybe a year to a year and a half down the road, right? Because we opened, because we grew, because we added these services, this is what's going to happen maybe a year to a year and a half from now. 25% of families will experience less stress that come to us. Why? Because they can drop their kids off 24/7. Like, how could that not be less stressful? Also, 65% of children, our children, will demonstrate improved behavior because we have a phenomenal program, and because we have 24/7 services, they're staying with us longer. Also, a year and a half from now, our daycare is going to expand to 2 locations. So this is how you create outputs, outcomes, and impact. You are doing a little forecasting based on what's going to happen if you get the grant funding. Now, the next set of outcomes pertain to goals. And many of you, I'm sure, have heard of SMART goals. This is what you want to put in the grant application, not just a goal, but a SMART goal. What are SMART goals? They're specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely, right? So how do you take one goal and change it into a SMART goal? I'll give you an example. We had a goal of, I want to reduce the poverty rate in Cleveland. That's a massive goal, right? How do you change that into a SMART goal? I want to reduce the poverty rate by 5% in Cleveland for Hispanic children under the age of 5 within a 5-year time frame. Specific, measurable, right? Attainable, relevant. There's an issue with poverty. Timely, you have a 5-year time frame. It's very specific. Hispanic children, measurable, 5%. What did I do? How did I change from a goal to a SMART goal? I use data and statistics, and that's what you want to do. You want to include data in your goals so that they can be measurable. Assessment tools, that's what you're going to use to make sure you are accomplishing your outcomes and your goals, right? I like SurveyMonkey. The restaurant could use surveys, right? Surveys of her customers to find out whether or not the restaurant is flourishing, what they want, what they don't want. The principal, for example, she could use the test scores of the students in math and reading to determine whether or not they have increased proficiency based on her tutoring program, right? So you want to be able to use assessment tools to show that you are accomplishing whatever your goals are. Next, we have your staff. The one thing you need to know, especially you for-profits, right? It's probably been a long time since you updated your bio and your resume. You're going to need to do so, right? You're going to need an updated bio and an updated resume. They're going to ask for this information, not just from you, but from any other person who you're putting in a leadership position within that program or that project or that service. Why? Responsibility, oversight, right? This is all about accountability. That funder wants to know that you have the right people to do the right job within your particular program or project, again, or service. Now we're going to talk about budget. The one thing you need to know when you're creating the budget is that you need to itemize your expenses, right? So if you're asking for $20,000 for salaries, you don't just put $20,000, I'm spending this on salaries. You have to be specific. What are the salaries for? Are you hiring an executive director? If so, how much are you paying them? Okay, I'm paying them $10,000 for a 6-month contract. Let's say you need other program personnel. You need 1099 contractors. How much are you paying them? I'm paying them $20 an hour to work 10 hours a week for 6 months. You have to be specific. And where do you put that information? In the budget narrative. So the budget narrative is going to talk about how you are using the funding, right, to operate. But you always want to connect the money back to the goal of the program. So if you're asking for $20,000 to hire an executive director, then you want to showcase how is that person helping the program. Okay, the ED, they're responsible for leading the program. So that's where we're asking for money. So always connect it back to the goal of the program. All right, sustainability. I love this portion here, right? Because you know that no grant is guaranteed. Just because you have a grant in year 1 does not mean you're going to get a grant in year 2. So you're going to be asked, how are you going to sustain your program? If we give you this grant money in year 1, you may not have a grant in year 2. So how do you keep that program going, right? You have to be able to answer this question. Now, this becomes a little bit easier if you have a revenue generating operation. Maybe you're a for-profit and you're continuing to generate income like a restaurant. But for nonprofits, it becomes a little bit more difficult. So I want to just do a really quick little exercise here. Think about the high school, right? They got the $20,000 for the tutoring program in year one, but in year two, they may not get it. So they have to write in that grant application, even though we don't expect to get the $20,000 in year two, this is what we're going to do to sustain the program. This is how we're going to secure $20,000. So I want you to put into the chat, really think about this. This is a high school. What are some of the ways that a high school could write into a grant application that year two, they're going to come up with $20,000 to keep that tutoring program going, whether or not they have a grant, right? So put into the chat, think about this. This is a high school. What are some of the ways that a high school could write about? There you go, Alicia, absolutely, fundraisers, right? What about a car wash? Sponsorships, right? What about a talent show, right? What about sporting events? What about selling school merchandise, right? Talent shows, bowling, Lisa, excellent, bowling, right? So you have to be able to show, Andrea, this is fantastic, a bookstore. Jacqueline says a hair contest, I love that, like a membership, fashion shows, bake sales, a movie, excellent, excellent, selling candy. So this is how you have to be creative. When you write in that application, how you're going to make sure that that program or that service is sustained in year two, even when you don't get the funding, all right? Now, I know there are quite a few for-profits on the call, so on the webinar. So what I want to do, I've also provided workshops where I talk about that bid proposal. So let's say you want to provide a bid proposal for a contract. You're bidding on, it could be a city job, a county contract, a federal contract, because I get this question a lot. On that proposal, what are you going to do? You want to focus on your capacity and your capability, right? For those of you who want to start submitting bids, you want to focus on your experience with similar jobs. Maybe you've done 100 of those jobs before, right? Maybe your staff is extremely experienced or qualified to be able to do the job. You want to talk about in that bid proposal, how you can go above and beyond, right? What is expected. Maybe it's your schedule. Maybe you can say, look, I've been able to meet or beat every single timeline that's been given to me, right? In the past. So when you're filling out these bid proposals, what you don't want to do is underbid, right? That's the fallacy of too many organizations. They think, well, if I give the lowest bid, I'm going to get the contract. Typically the opposite happens, right? Why? Because if I am a contractor and I'm providing a bid and I want to build a wall in a hospital, I want to build that wall and I have some idea of what the cost is going to be. So if I'm thinking the cost should be around $1 million to build that wall in the hospital, and you give me a bid of $50,000, well, I know that's not for you. I know that you're not qualified. I know that you don't have the capacity, right? And you're not going to get the bid. So please don't think that by underbidding, you're automatically going to get the contract. You need to focus on your capacity or your capability statement, right? Because you may be asked for it. And that's really a marketing statement that showcases your capabilities and your skills, right? If you're asked for a capability statement, it should be 1 page, if at all possible, maybe 2 back and front, but no more than 2. Use bullets. You're going to talk about your core competencies, right? Your capabilities, your differentiators, right? Maybe you have facilities that's state of the art, or you have green facilities, right? Maybe your equipment is state of the art. You want to focus on why you and your uniqueness as to why you should get the bid, right? And include your past performance. It also typically includes like corporate data and contact information. But these are just some of the items that you want to consider when you are bidding on contracts. Now, many of you asked me about business plans and whether or not when you write a grant proposal, is it the same as writing a business plan? Well, it's almost equal, right? Because on a business plan, you have an executive summary. You're getting that from the grant proposal. You're talking about the company description. That's part of a grant proposal. You're doing your market analysis. That's part of the grant proposal because you're going to be talking about your target market in the grant proposal. Your products and services, that's part of a grant proposal. The one area that's new is your marketing plan, because typically marketing plans are not in grant proposals. Your management and organization, once again, you're pulling that from the proposal. Your financial plan. So typically when you submit a grant application, that organization is going to ask you for your financial statements. So they should already be available and handy, right? The budget that's in the business plan. Well, you're going to create a budget. It could be an operating budget or also the budget for the fund. You're going to pull that from the grant proposal. So they can be very similar. So if you learn how to write a grant proposal, you will have learned how to write a business plan. We're really talking about what are some of the things that you need to do to get noticed before you write a single syllable of that grant application. And what is so important that I want you to understand is that you have to go into this grant writing with a mindset of winning, right? That may sound corny, but it is so true. You cannot go into the space of grant writing thinking that, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to write a 200-page document. I'm not going to get it anyway. Well, one, grant applications are no longer 200 pages. A lot of the grant applications for especially for-profits, 2, 3, 4 pages, okay? Go into grant writing with a winning mindset. We saw that the money is there, over $90 billion just from foundations. So why not you? Organizations that look just like you and me are getting grants every single day. But a community of support is so important. Please don't do this alone. Don't do this by yourself. If you can, join a community of others who are writing grants, because you may be able to partner with an organization that's similar to yours, right? I know you want to position yourself for success. I know you want to make a difference. I know you want to help clients and solve problems. But yes, you'll have to do the work. You'll have to spend a little bit of time and a little bit of effort, right? You have to research those funders to gain those partners, but you know what? It's worth it. Why? Because you'll get free grant money to finally open, to start your passion or your dream. Maybe you want to operate successfully and not have to bootstrap, not have to ask the family for money, or maybe you want to even expand your operations, right? You can do this. You can get this done. Grant writing is not scary. Next, if you take nothing else away from this webinar tonight, please, the first bullet, relationship building, please meet with the funder first. I have been in meetings with foundation leaders where I've heard them say, look, if you give me an application and you've not called me, you've not emailed me, you haven't made any arrangements to try to meet with me, it's probably going in the garbage. Now, not every foundation operates in that fashion, right? And some foundations don't want to meet with you, right? They want you to fill out the application and send it in. But if you have the opportunity to meet with that funder, this is so critical. It's so important. Please do that, right? Also, consider time management. If the timeline is 4:59 p.m., you have to get that application in by 4:59 p.m. because that portal closes, right? So please consider time management. Address every question, right? Do not leave the application questions blank, because if you are completing a portal, a grant in a portal, and you leave a question blank, they may not know that you just don't have the answer. They're reading this part of the application is blank and they may reject the application because they're going to read it as being incomplete. So if you don't have an answer, if it doesn't apply to you, just put NA, right? Unless the application specifically asks you to leave it blank, which usually it doesn't. Just put NA. Also, please seek external reviews, all right? Please don't put in, do not submit applications full of grammatical errors. These are some don'ts. Look, I love templates. I love templates. But what I don't want you to do is copy and paste every single answer from an old application into the new application, because every application is unique, right? Also, do not ask for too much money when you are approaching a funder for the first time. Now, most grants will tell you how much money, right, the grant is for. Maybe it's $5,000, $10,000. But especially community foundations and then some banks. They won't tell you the amount. You have to come in to that meeting and let them know how much you're asking, right? And you don't want to ask for $100,000 the first time because you're not going to get it, right? They don't know you. They don't know if you're fiscally responsible. So I always recommend going and asking for between $5,000 and $25,000 the first time, right? Also, whatever you do, again, you're going to hear me say this, don't forget to edit. Now, how do you meet with the funder? I told you how important that is. And I can assure you that it is critical. Literally, a couple of weeks ago, a client was able to meet with the funder. The funder didn't know this client, right? Had never met this client. But you know what? Those missions aligned. And it was a 30-minute Zoom meeting. By the end of that 30-minute Zoom meeting, the organization had $30,000, right? And this funder had never even heard of the organization, the nonprofit, before. So it is so important to meet with the funder, right? How do you do that? You create a letter of introduction. In that letter, you're going to talk about your organization, describe it, right? You're going to talk about your statement of need, your target population. You're going to align your mission or your project with the mission and project of the funder. You're not going to ask for any money in this letter because the purpose of this letter is to meet with the funder, right? That is the purpose. You're not getting around to the money yet. Now, you can get a reference to get a person's name, right? But keep in mind, 90% of foundations don't even have a website for you to go to. How are you going to get the email address? You may get the name from the 990, but how do you get the email address to send this letter to make sure it goes to the right person? Well, look, I've been giving you tea. Ladies, this is a teapot. This particular software program is phenomenal. It's called getemail.io. I don't know if you've ever used it, but it will give you the email address of just about anybody in the world that is connected with an organization, whether it's a for-profit or a nonprofit. I use it numerous times a week. It is amazing, right? So I want to make sure that the link is put into the chat because this will change your life, okay? Literally, okay? You can find the email address. And so when you send off this letter of introduction to the foundation, never send it to info@abcfoundation.org. You want a person's name and you want their email address. And the good thing about getemail.io, they typically give you like 10 to 15 free email searches, right? Other than that, it's about $60 a month, but take advantage of the 10 to 15. It is an incredible asset for you to have. Now we're going to talk about grant research, right? How do you research? How do you find the grants? Well, these are the major grant portals, right? That's available. Your Foundation Directory Online is the leading source of information in the US that will provide you with funders. So they will give you the names of the organizations. It's about $50 a month to subscribe, or most libraries will have access to the Foundation Directory Online for free. So if you're on a budget, you don't even have the $50, go to your library to get a list of funding resources through the Foundation Directory Online. Instrumental is available. It's pricey, though. It's about $200 a month. They give you the funder and the available grant opportunity and the 990 and a lot more information. You know grants.gov, that's the single source for federal grants, right? If you are a faith-based organization, the Lilly Foundation is the largest funder of religious organizations, right? Maybe you have an educational program or project. Grantgopher.com is a great resource. I am obsessed with grantwatch.com. They're only about $20 a week, and they give you lots of last-minute grants, but they give you the funder plus the available grant, right? So they give you both. Grant Watch is about $20 a week. If you are a minority organization, Black-owned organization, you have to know about urbanawarenessusa.org because they're Black-owned and they provide so much information about minority grants and grants for minority organizations. Now, I want to give you just a real quick demonstration here. This is the homepage of Grant Watch. And you're going to literally, when you search for grants, you're going to put in criteria, you're going to put in data. So you see in the middle there, nonprofit, business, or individual, you're going to check which one you are. Are you a nonprofit or a business, right? When you look to the left, it says apply filters. You're going to populate that information, right, with your data. So what type of grant are you looking for? Are you looking for federal funds or maybe foundation money? Location, do you want to find a funder that's local to you, or are you looking for national funders, right? Your target population, who are you helping? Is it veterans, the homeless, K through 12, disabled, right? You can also do advanced search mechanisms where you type in the word, right? So the subject area, I know I typically have people in the fashion industry on my webinars. That's arts and culture, arts and culture, right? Maybe it's education. Maybe it's business and industry, that career development person, that would be business and industry. Maybe you have a financial service. You're going to put all this data, right, into the portals, into the search mechanisms. Literally, you push a button and out comes a list of available grants for you. So I love Grant Watch. Again, they're about $20 a week. So if you're on a budget, spend your $20 for that week and get as many available grants as you can. Now, these are other opportunities that are available for grants for especially women-owned businesses. HelloAlice.com is critical. You have to know about HelloAlice.com. It is one of the largest portals, maybe the largest portal now, of information on grants for women-owned businesses, right? Facebook has a Black Creators Grant, right? Amber Grants for Women, they provide $25,000 grants every single month, right? National Association for Self-Employed Growth Grants. Fearless Fund and MasterCard Women of Color grants. The Visa She's Next for Black Women Business Owners grant, right? The Small Business Grant from FedEx, they love to give grant funding to women-owned businesses or women-led nonprofits. Let's say you have a wellness program. You're in the area of health and wellness, right? You should know about the Women's Sports Foundation.org. They provide funding to various organizations that are in the health and wellness arena. You want to be able to go to grantsforwomen.org because they have many, many lists of funding for women-owned businesses or women-led nonprofits. Maybe you don't want a grant, maybe you want an investor. 37angels.org is literally a group of female angel investors. They only invest in women-owned small businesses up to $150,000. That's a lot of money, okay? The Tory Burch Foundation has grants that are geared towards women. I Fund Women, you have to sign up for their newsletter because they provide a significant amount of information on funding for, again, women-led nonprofits and then women-owned businesses. Cartier, the jewelry company, they have an initiative where they support women-owned businesses. Now, when you think of banks, tell me in the chat, what do you think about when you think about banks and money? Banks and money. Tell me in the chat, what do you think about? What comes to your mind when you think about banks and money? Let's see what we have here. Checking accounts, loans. Lisa says, take. Yes. Debt, loans, credit, debt, more debt, loans. Did you know that banks are some of the largest providers of grants in the country? Grants, right? Not loans, grants, right? But you have to know who to go to, right? You're not going to your loan officer because why? What do they want to do? They want to give you a loan, right? So you're not going to your loan officer. You're not going to your branch manager, right? Because typically, what do they want to do? They want to give you a loan. You want to find the vice president, typically of like community reinvestment or community foundations. Make sure that the bank has a really good footprint in your region, in your area. And then seek out the vice president, right? Meet with that person. Doesn't matter if you're a nonprofit or for-profit, banks give to both. Banks give funding to for-profits. Banks give funding to nonprofits, grant funding, free money. Meet with the vice president. I had a young lady who was on my webinar late last year, and she was listening to this section on banks, and she literally found the vice president of a bank that had a really good footprint in her area. She applied for a $2.3 million grant, not loans. So do not sleep on banks, okay? Do not sleep on banks. So these are some women business organizations that you really need to connect with because they provide a wealth of information. Many of them do provide grants. Again, grants for women. You want to be able to connect to that website. And I may have some women in here that are part of the Women Helping Women Entrepreneurs. This organization is a Facebook group of over 600,000. I'm going to say that again, 600,000 women business owners. You have to join this Facebook group. It is a wealth of information for you. So give yourself a shout out if you are part of the Women Helping Women Entrepreneurs Facebook group. Now, the National Association of Women Business Owners, I'm a member of the Cleveland chapter. That's a great organization that provides support to women business owners. American Business Women's Association, the Female Entrepreneur Association, and who knew that the SBA had an Office of Women's Business Ownership, right? Ladies Who Launch, the Women's Business Centers of Ohio, there's a similar organization in other states, okay? Now, don't go anywhere because we're going to go through a phenomenal Q&A, right? What I want you to know is that I've been writing grants for literally almost 15 years. And I realized that by writing one grant at a time, I couldn't help the number of people that I knew needed help. So what did I do? I literally took all 15 years of experience and I created a very easy to navigate grant writing course. Again, remember I said before, grants are no longer 200-page documents. Many of them are 3, 4, 5 pages, right? This literally has been my path to being able to secure $17 million in funds in development for clients, right? So with this course, you get me as your coach. It is literally a step-by-step path to funding. I know you want to be impactful. I know you want to fulfill your mission without sacrificing personal finances. We know the money is there, ladies. We know the money is there. I talked earlier, $90 billion just from foundations. It's about how do you get it? You can win $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 or more. Literally, the young lady who went through the course wrote a $75,000 grant for one of her clients, and then she turned around and wrote another grant for herself. So this is proven. This is what I use to be able to secure $17 million in funding for clients. I utilize everything that I have now put into this course. Here's the key. Look, we're business owners, right? We lead nonprofits. We don't have a lot of time, right? We don't have a lot of time. This course will save you time and energy on finding and writing grants, right? Far better and faster than you will ever be able to do it by yourself. Remember, I talked about being in a community of people who are writing grants, right? You no longer have to ask, is there a grant for this organization or this project? No more guesswork. There's a grant for almost anything you can think of, right? It's about knowing how to find the information, using the right way, right, to provide grant research. And I give you the best techniques, right? I want you to be able to find funders who literally want to give you money. Do you know that there are foundations at the end of the year that are stressed because they haven't given out all of the money that their board has told them they need to give out? There are foundations and organizations looking for you, right? So I want to be able to show you, how do you find your perfect funder? How do you approach these funders, right? And of course, I teach you how to write every single part of the narrative. Every part of the narrative. There's parts of the narrative that we didn't even get to right tonight. So what do you get? You get 12 modules, 35 lessons. I spent many, many years in education. I know people learn differently, so I start every lesson off with a video. You get 30 introductory videos for every single lesson. You have a video, and then you have your lesson. And this is fun, right? This is not hard because you're talking about your passion, your organization. So when I ask you to write about the history, you're going to write about something that you're passionate about. And I'm going to give you an example. So yes, not only do you have lessons and tasks and these fun planners and workbooks and these crazy funny quizzes, I'm giving you actual grant examples. Every grant example in this particular course, I not only wrote, but I was able to get money from. So every grant example is a winning grant example. So if I ask you to write about the history of your organization, I'm going to give you an example of a history section that I wrote that was able to get us money. And next, I'm doing what literally I know for a fact nobody else is doing. You can spend 5 times what you're going to spend on this course, take a weekend grant writing course, and after the weekend, that's it, right? The teachers are gone, you have no information. Literally, I am giving you a list of now it's up to 450 funders, so that by the time you write your template, you've gone through the modules, you're ready. You are ready to submit grant applications because you're going to go through that funders list and find out which ones are in alignment with you. Now, unlike many instructors that provide courses and then you never see from them again, no, I know you need support. So guess what? I have a private Facebook group just for students, right? And it's free. It's a free Facebook group. So once you become a student, you have access to the Facebook group. And if anybody is on the line who's in the Facebook group, please, please, please give it a shout out, because the organizations that are in this Facebook group, they are amazing, right? So if you have a grant application and you come to the Facebook group, and you may want someone to take a look at it, right? You may have questions, right? I literally have professional grant writers who have joined the group. They bought the course. They're in the Facebook group. They always ask if they could help you. They always volunteer, do you need for us to maybe look at something that you've done? So come to the Facebook group for help. If you are a student, you will get the help. And I'm in the Facebook group as well. I'm often in the Facebook group answering questions, right? In addition to that, because I know you need the support, I give you 1 hour of group coaching, right? So every month you get an hour of group coaching, right? And that's with me and a group, right? So you are getting the support and the help that you need, because that becomes so important. I'm not going to leave you alone. So what is the value? And whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because I have an insane offer for you. I've had the course audited 3 times now. And so the 12 modules, 35 lessons, that's worth $3,549. Just the videos alone are worth $599. That list of funders that you get, literally funders that provide grants, that's worth $500. You have a workbook with all of the lessons, right? You have planners, you have grant trackers. You know how important grant trackers are. That's worth $350. So what do we have? The course is valued at $5,000. The normal price is $997, and that's just a typical price of an online course. That's not out of the ordinary. I typically offer my course for $497 because I have a heart for other small businesses and nonprofits and women-owned businesses and Black-owned businesses. So my course is $497. That's typically what I charge, and that's what people pay. However, because you chose to be here tonight with me, right? You could have been anywhere else, but you need help. So you came to me, and I appreciate that. One payment of $197. That's it. Like, people think, okay, Linda, I can do that a month. That's not a month. That's one payment. But, there's always a caveat, right? You have 3 days. You have 3 days, and that's it. The course is $497. That's what people pay. But if you buy this course within the next 3 days, it'll be $197. But you have to use the code, right? The code is FEB60 savings, right? So that's the code that you're going to put into the portal so that you can get a $197 course that's worth $5,000. And this is something I never do, right? But it's Black History Month, right? Women's History Month is coming up. If you don't have the $197, you can literally pay 2 payments of $115 a piece, right? So I give you that option. And if you choose the payment plan, you don't need a code because it's listed as 115. But if you choose the one payment for 197, use the code FEB60 savings, right? You put the code in there and literally it will take $300 off of the 497 price. It'll be 197, but it's only for 3 days. Now, what you need to know about this course, it never expires. Like, we're busy, right? I wouldn't have a course where you have to get through the course in a month, right? No. We're busy, things happen, right? So the course never expires. It's an online course, right? So you work your way through, it's self-paced, right? So there's no pressure for you to get through this module. Some instructors drip their lessons, like every month they drip out a course. No, everything is there for you. When you make your payment, you have access to the entire course. So at the end of the 12 modules, you're ready. You're ready to write a grant application. And then I actually give you 450 grant providers. So I'm assuming that because you were on here tonight with me, you are serious about getting this money. And I'm serious about helping you get the money. This is what you get. All of the lessons, the actual winning grants, the private Facebook group, right? It's a self-paced course. So yes, I'm doing this for the women. I really am. And here's the code, FEB60 savings, but keep in mind, 3 days only, ladies. It ends on Sunday. So when you go into the portal to buy the course, this is what you see, and you decide, do I want the 497 or the 2 payments of 115? If you hit the 497, this page will come up, and on the left where it says I have a coupon, you can input your coupon and it will take $300 immediately off of the price, and you'll pay the 197. Now, if you notice at the bottom, it says ask the expert. So I do private grant coaching, right? So if you want private grant coaching one-on-one, you can have private grant coaching by the hour. It's normally $4.95 an hour, but if you buy the course, it's only $195 for the hour. So many people buy the free, or rather the Ask the Expert private grant coaching that you get for $195, because that's where you get the discount. I don't normally discount that, but when you buy the course, you get the Ask the Expert grant coaching for $195. So why is this important right now? Not only do you get the free monthly coaching, just literally Tuesday, I had a monthly coaching session, and that's every month. But this is what I need for you to understand. We're in 2023. You want to start applying for grants now, because so often the grant money isn't available even halfway through the year. Like, I've met with organizations like Walmart and Verizon, and they will tell you, you have to get that grant in at the beginning of the year, because when our funds have been expended, they've been expended. So if you're waiting until April and May and June, that money may not be there. So you want to be able, right, to apply for grants right now. So these are just some of the testimonials. Kim is saying that Linda Peavy is a master grant writing guru, and Carla says that the course is really easy to understand, and I made it that way. Here's Kelly that was able to write a $75,000 grant. Literally, we found out like maybe 3 weeks ago. It works. The program works. And Linda took the course, became a professional grant writer, and now she's writing grants for other clients, which is just incredible, right? So here's the link. I want to make sure the link is put into the chat. All right, there's the link, right? And that goes to everyone. So definitely 3 days only, right? It's $197. Oh, and it's tax deductible. I didn't even mention that. So like, that's it. This is literally tax deductible because it is an educational resource. So yes, you can deduct the $197. I'm going to stop sharing, and we're going to get into the Q&A. Yes, it's $197 total. A lot of people think that's per month. It's not per month. It's total. $197, one and done. One and done. All right. So let me get to the Q&A. Is entity only needed for government grants? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I don't know if you're talking about being maybe certified. Could you just explain that a little bit better? Can solopreneurs apply for grants? Absolutely. Absolutely, solopreneurs can apply for grant money as a for-profit. That's what I've been talking about really for the last hour, is that you don't have to be a nonprofit to get grant money. You can be a for-profit business, right? There's grants available specifically for women-owned for-profits, right? Do you have a sample grant proposal? I would like to see what the grant proposal looks like when all information is compiled. So yes, in the course, if you buy the course, it's $197. I have sample grant proposals. I absolutely do. How do you truly get a budget for a new company? Do you round about based on similar budgets of others? Yes, right? You have to be able to have some idea of what your company is going to cost to open, right? And yes, you can look at similar budgets of similar organizations, but you know what service you want to provide, right? Only you know, right? If you're going to need to hire staff. But let me say this to everyone. You don't necessarily need staff to get grants. There are organizations, right, that will give funding to all volunteer organizations. The Amarillo Foundation is one where they will give grant monies to really small businesses, or if you don't even have a 1099 staff or W-2 staff, you have all volunteers, they will give you grant money, right? So don't think you have to have this huge personnel department. You don't. You can be a solopreneur. But yes, take a look at what it is that you're going to need, right, in terms of opening up, and then you build your budget from there. All right, so I've been struggling to find grants in the adult entertainment industry. What do you recommend I do? So I can tell you that most organizations are not going to fund any company or organization in the adult entertainment industry. What you would want to do is try, I don't know what you're using the money for. I don't know what you're doing, but it would be probably much easier for you to get sponsorships, right? There's not a lot of organizations that's going to fund adult entertainment, and they will specifically say that in their grant requirements section, right? There's always grant requirements, right, in every grant application. So you would probably be better looking to get some type of sponsors from companies. It's still free money, so sponsorships are still free money. Will this course also work for sponsorship proposals? Absolutely. Or affiliation pitches with other nonprofits, right? Because the questions are the same. You still have to talk about who you are, the work that you're doing, what it is that you're offering, who your target market is, right? You still have to be able to answer those questions. And so whether it's a sponsorship proposal or a grant proposal or pitch deck, right? You still have to know who your target market is and how much money you're asking for and what you're going to do with the money, right? So those are the questions in the Q&A. I'm going to go over to the chat because I know I saw quite a few questions. And what I want all of you left on this line to do, it's time to get grant money. Like, I don't want you to be in the same position a month from now. No, 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 no. I do not want you to be in the same position a month from now. I want you to be further along. I want you to be applying for grants. I want you to be giving testimonials, right? Because if you want things to happen differently, you have to do things differently, right? I don't want you to sit back and say, okay, I don't know where the grant money is. I've heard there's grants out there. My girlfriend's business got a grant. I didn't get a grant. You can do this, right? But you need help. And I want you to be in a community of support so that you're asking me. I'm a master grant writer. I've been doing this for 15 years. I know what I'm talking about. I can help you. So do this in a community of support, okay? I don't want you to be in the same place. Please don't be in the same place even next month wondering, where can I get these grants from? Because I'm here to help you, right? Get the grant funding that you need. All right. And for those of you who are on here, sometimes you just have to speak things into the universe, right? I want you to put right now into the chat, I am ready to get grant money. I am ready to get grant money. Everybody into the chat, put, I am ready to get grant money. right? There's no waiting. I'm a huge football fan. Get off the sidelines. Get off the side. There's no grants. There's no grants on the sidelines. There are no grants on the sidelines. You have to write a grant to get a grant. Okay. There are no grants on the sidelines. None. You have to get in the game. You can do this. You will have help. You will have step-by-step help. You will have a community of support to ask questions to, and the Facebook group is phenomenal. And oh my goodness, the monthly group coaching. I wish there was someone to give a testimonial about the monthly group coaching. I am here to help you. I am a woman of faith. I consider myself to be, anybody that knows me know that I'm a servant leader. I am here to serve. I should be charging way more money for this course. I know that, but I am here to help you. You have 3 days. I don't want you to be mad at me. In 4 days, and it's $4.97. The coupon's up. All right, so let's see the questions in the chat. All right, let's see. Who do we have that's asking questions? Let's see. All right. Okay. Yes, everybody wants just a little bit of the $90 billion. Absolutely. Okay. Does this, oh, someone has Grammarly, so you know how great it is. Does this work for LLCs as well? Absolutely. So an LLC is a limited liability corporation. That's a for-profit, right? That's a for-profit. So yes, this is great for for-profits. I have a business license. Excellent, Letitia. I tell you, if you have a business, you need your business license. Go to your Secretary of State. Right, an LLC is a for-profit. So yes, you can get grant money. How do you do video testimonials for people that want to remain anonymous? Well, I think that would be a little strange to have like a shadow, because that would probably get people to wonder, what's going on? So you know what, if people want to remain anonymous, have them write you a testimonial and put that testimonial on your homepage. Just have them write it out. And you can put client or customer from, put the city and state or the state so that there's some information there. So just have them write it out. Someone recommended that you can video everything but their face, right? So here's a recommendation. Maybe you can videotape them and you're shooting them from the back, right? That's a possibility. Or else just have them write it out. Have them write it out. All right. Is there a contact person in an organization for grants? Would they be the person to connect with? How do you find that out? So I've gone through all of that information. So definitely there is always a contact person, right, for grants. So look on the website, right? If they don't have the website, go to the 990, find out who that person is. Typically, they'll be like the executive director of the foundation or program director, right? So look for a program director. Most of the community foundations have websites, so they are going to have a website. So yes, there's always a contact person, and you need to find out who that person is and get their email. Okay, is that the same as a letter of intent? So no. The letter of intent, which we didn't even talk about, but I talk about in detail in the course, is usually a 2 to 3 page document where you're outlining your organization, you're outlining what you're asking for, you're outlining the amount of money that you're asking for, and it becomes a document that organizations use to weed out organizations that don't match their mission, right? So that they don't have to read longer grant applications. So many times you will be asked to submit a letter of intent, an LOI, and it's just a summary of what a grant application is, but it allows the foundation to read it and know whether or not you're a good match without you having to write a lengthier grant application. Because those are two totally different things. The letter of introduction is only to get you into a meeting to sit before that foundation. Farrah Fryer says she learned something from me. I'm not sure what it was, but I hope it was good. It allows me to connect with so many people on LinkedIn. Are you talking, are you talking about the get email.io? The get email.io, I'm telling you people, it's a game changer. It's a game changer. Could we get that list of the grant resources? You're getting the entire replay. The entire replay is what you're getting. That list will be shown again in the replay. I do not give my slides out because a lot of my information is proprietary and I have a copyright on a lot of the information, but I do give you the full replay. All right. So while I'm thinking of that, I'm going to put 2 emails into the chat. I want you to put these emails into your safe senders email list. This is so important. I don't want anything going to spam. You're going to get the replay in an email from one of these email addresses, either lpv@lapov.com or hello@grantwriting for non-writers.com. Please put that into your safe senders list. Oh, Farah, thank you, Farah. Farah says she's in the group. She bought the course. She's in the Facebook group and they are fire, fire, fire. Thank you, Farah. Was I kidding? Was I kidding when I talked about the Facebook group and how much people help you, how other people, other organizations, let's say you're a financial services organization, there may be another financial organization, right, that's in the group that you can partner with to seek grants. I mean, you want to be in a community, please don't do this by yourself. There's no reason why you have to do this by yourself. All right, so a question, I would like to start a for-profit business, but need to work to cover monthly expenses. Could I write a grant to cover my salary while developing my company? While formulating details, I would already have the business plan completed. So when you're writing a grant application, right, there's going to be an expectation, right, of after you write the grant, you want to get your salary covered, but there's going to be an expectation that you're going to start doing work, right, to bring that program to fruition. So as a startup, that's not unusual, right, that you need money to cover the salary of the people who are working to start the organization, but you need a clear-cut plan with a timeline to say, in 6 months or in a year, I'm going to start the programming. I need time to develop it, but it's going to start in 6 months or it's going to start a year. You need to be really specific, right, about your business plan and your timeline. All right. I'm still looking for emotional well-being grants, but my mom has gotten 5 grants for church. Wow, look at this. Farah says, I have not done the grant. She's not written a grant yet, but I'm still looking for emotional well-being grants. So Farah, I need for you to ask that question in the Facebook group because there are some emotional well-being grants available. Ask that question in the Facebook group. But my mom has gotten 5 grants for her church with my help from what I watched from your course. There you are, 5 grants, people. That's a testimony. She's gotten 5 grants for her church. Too many people think that there are no grants for faith-based organizations. I say this all the time. There are many grants for churches. If you are faith-based and you're on this webinar, the Mustard Seed Foundation only gives grants to faith-based organizations and churches, the Mustard Seed Foundation, right? So there you are. From joining the course, from working the course, from looking at the modules, she's gotten her mom 5 grants for her church. I told you that, we're not playing, okay? We are trying to get you grant money. You're here, right? Because I think you need grant money. This is not just some other course that you're going to put to the side. Do you need money or not? Do you need free grant money or not? We are here to get you free grant money. All right. What are those emails for replay? Oh, yes, yes, yes. So I'm going to put this in here again. I just want you to put these on your safe senders list, right? So that when you get the replay, it doesn't go to spam. Right, so I just put the emails back in here. Yeah, so you will get the replay. Oh, Trina says, thanks for looking for a community new to grant writing. Oh, this would be perfect for you. Please join. Please come into the Facebook group. I've been writing grants for 14 years. I would be happy to share information with you in the Facebook group or in the monthly group coaching, because people ask me questions that don't necessarily pertain to grants because I've been in business for 15 years. So, I'm here to serve. I'm here to help you. But join, come into the Facebook group, which is free, and you'll get a ton of information, including if you're new, including how do you price your services. That's a good one. I always give information to people because they always want to know, like, how do I price my services as a grant writer? All right, so I believe that's it. I think I have gone through. Can you email a letter of intent, or would it be better to mail it? Please email it. Email it. Get that email. Use getemail.io. It's going to be free for about maybe 10 to 15 emails. Email it. Don't use snail mail. Yes, there are grants for virtually anything. That is true. How about if you are a disabled woman? Are there grants to start my business? There are so many grants for the disabled, not only for people who are disabled who want to open up an organization, but there are grants if you are serving the disabled. There's both, right? So there's grants for you as a disabled woman, but there's also grants that are for those you are serving. So let's say you're serving those who are disabled. There are grants for those kinds of organizations. I'm a startup cleaning and organizing business. I make room sprays. Oh, and candles. That sounds wonderful. I'm on workman's comp, and I have no desire to return to the post office. I'm going to find money in 3 days. Join. So give yourself a goal. I'm not scared. Give yourself a goal, Stacy. Give yourself 3 days to find some money. Or did you mean 30 days? Okay. Whether it's 3 days or 30 days, you join. You come into the Facebook group. You come into the Facebook group and you say, where can I get immediate money? So let me give you some help right now. So if you need money, if anybody on this chat, on this webinar needs immediate money, right? Because we know grants can take a while, depending upon the organization. They can take 3 months sometimes. They can take 2 months. They can take even longer. If you need immediate money, but typically this is for those who already have an organization, right? What you can do, go to your community foundation or go to the bank. So community foundations and banks have what's called discretionary funding. Now, they may have your typical grant application where you submit it. It has to go before the board. It's going to take 2 months, 3 months. But community foundations, most of the program directors have what's called discretionary funding, which means they can write out a check almost immediately. It's for a smaller amount, right? But they can write out a check. So let's say you need $5,000 right away to keep your lights on, right? Or to keep from being evicted from your organization, or to keep your doors from closing. Go to a community foundation in your area, or go again to a bank. Make sure it's to a regional vice president. Let them know you need discretionary funding because this is an emergency. Your doors are about to close or something's about to happen. It's an emergency. You need money right away. Yes, community foundations, most of them have discretionary funding where they can give you money on a more immediate basis, right? So I don't know if you meant 3 days or not, but if you have that kind of a need, you can go to a community foundation. I pay rent and utilities for people and they want to remain anonymous. We also feed the homeless, and I don't want to feel like I'm exploiting anyone. So if you feed the homeless, Andrea, you are providing what's called basic services. So in the grant world, you're providing basic services like food and shelter. You absolutely need to be looking for grants, because I assure you there are grants out there that provide to organizations, especially that are providing food and shelter for people. So the first place I would look if I were you was a community foundation. All right, Chef says, so we have created a business to self-support our own nonprofit in the event of slow times. So that's interesting. But still look for grants. Look for grants as a nonprofit. And I also want to tell you, start local, right? So there's people hear about these big grants, the Gates Foundation, they give, millions of dollars worth of grants, and people want, the millions of dollars. Start local. Start with your local community foundation or your local bank, because it's easier, one, to get money locally, and then go nationally. Start local. It doesn't mean that you can't apply for local grants. I want to be clear about that. You can still apply for local grants, right? But start local. You'll get money faster and easier. And look at all these people that are ready to get this grant money. Selma, Mary, Brenda, Liana, Stacy, Cecilia, Erica, Jacqueline, Monique. Yes, 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 I'm ready to get this grant money. Gloria, Teresa, Tracy, Dee, Tiffany, Lucille, Chef Chambers, Jamie Green. Yes, absolutely. This is what I want, right? I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you. Let's see if there are any more questions, and then we're going to wrap it up. Okay. Okay. So my business is already open. Should I apply for an SBA loan or a grant? Why not apply for both? It's not one or the other. A grant is free money. So I'm always going to recommend that you apply for a grant because it's free money. That doesn't mean you can't apply for an SBA loan too. Okay, I don't know if you want to be anonymous or not, but we have a breast cancer survivor. I applaud you, absolutely. Looking to partner with my city community to create a breast cancer walkathon. What advice can you tell me where to start? Go to your community foundation, go to your bank, have a meeting, right, with the United Way, only because they can recommend organizations to you to go to, right? So without question, you want to go to your community foundation. I mean, that's one of the first places that you want to go to. You also want to speak with organizations like the YWCA or the YMCA, only because they're very well known, and they will be able to connect you to other organizations within your city that will be able to help you. But in terms of grant funding, absolutely start with those two. Start with those two for sure. That's a phenomenal idea. And so not only do you want grants, you want sponsorships. So look to find out if you should be able to do research, right, to find out who are the largest women-owned organizations or women-owned companies in your city. Identify them, okay? Reach out to them for sponsorships. Look and see who are maybe the top 100, the largest 100 organizations, right? The top 100 companies in your city. Do that research, start there, because everybody's going to want to support that kind of a cause for sure. For sure. All right, let's see. I am almost done here. Where would you suggest I look for grants pertaining to cocktail bitters? I don't know what cocktail bitters are. I don't know if I should know what cocktail bitters are. I really don't know what cocktail bitters are. I don't know if that's some type of wine process. I don't drink at all, so I don't know if I'm supposed to know if that's even pertaining to alcohol, because I just don't know. So please, Alyssa, inform me, tell me what that is so that I know. I am never ashamed to tell you what I don't know. Okay. I want to open my house in the country for foster kids to experience country for a few days. Phenomenal, phenomenal. You know where you should start? Start at the YWCA, because the YWCA has a program for foster kids and also for kids that age out of foster care. That's one. And then go through your county, right? So there's going to be a division of like home and family services that's typically through the county. Go to your county offices and let them know what you're wanting to do. And I think they would be able to help you or point you in the right direction. Is there a grant for women who are battered, depressed, and then domestic violence? So I'm not sure if you're asking if there's a grant for women who happen to be battered and depressed and in domestic violence, or if you are asking if there is a grant for an organization that wants to help those women. There are grants for organizations that want to help those women. Yes. If you're talking about a grant for women who happen to be in those circumstances, no, right? But what you want to do is go to your nearest services organization that would be able to provide counseling and help to you. Is this grant money for Africa too? So I'm glad you asked that question, because when you're doing your search, for example, in Grant Watch, there is a section for international grants. So there's two things you can do. When you do your searching, you can search for organizations in other countries, right, that give to your particular area, whatever your area of interest is, or you can search for funding of, let's say, American companies that are multinational companies, that are global companies that give to organizations that address services in Africa. So you can do both. So when you do your grant search, make sure you not only put in international, but you also put in whatever that region is as to where you want grant funding. So yes, these grant search portals are for international funding as well. All right, so I am done with the Q&A there. I'm going to go through the chat one more time and I'm going to wrap it up because it's almost 9 o'clock. All right, let's see. Okay, let me get to the bottom here. Okay, I did answer that. Okay, definitely email the letter. Okay, answer that question. I'm going to go down to the bottom because I think there were a couple of more. All right, all right, all right. So when is your next Zoom? I would like some of my associates to join and obtain the information. So one, you can always show them the replay. Okay, you'll get the replay, but because you signed up for this particular webinar, you're on the mailing list, so you'll get information about upcoming webinars for sure. You'll get that information. Doctor, and I don't know what your last name is because it's only giving me the first 4 digits. So I see a Dr. TA. So she's excited and ready to join. So everybody clap, clap, clap for Dr. TA. I'm sorry, I don't see what your name is, but everybody give her a shout out and clap because she is joining. She is ready. She's ready to get her grant money. She is ready to get her grant money. All right, let's see. I am looking for grants to start up a child care center. Oh my gosh. Is it Titania? Titania, I was able to present to a Facebook group of about 1,000 child care centers. And I presented some information to them. I presented grant writing to them. And I also presented information on specific grants for childcare. There are so many grants available to start up a child care center and for child care and early childhood care centers and workers. You wouldn't believe the money that is available for daycare centers and child care centers. So absolutely look under early childhood when you're doing your grant search. The money is there. I remember presenting them with a document of 50 different grant opportunities just for daycare centers and early childhood. So the money is there. So D, you're interested in the bid proposal process. So definitely you can join, right? And then you can come into the Facebook group. Now, any of you who just want to meet with me one-on-one, you can do that. I put the rate into when you buy the course, the pop-up, there's a pop-up that comes up with the rate, and I will honor that rate. So it's $195 an hour. I will honor that rate if you just want to meet with me and get your questions answered one-on-one personally. We can do a deep dive into your business and your organization. I'm happy to do that. You can tag that onto the course, or you can do that separately. But I'd be happy to talk to you about the bid proposal process, but also what do you need? Like, what does it take? Because you really, if you're going to start going after bids and contracts, you really need to be certified. Like, I'm certified nationally through Gateway Supplier. I'm a woman-owned business and Black-owned business. So you can be certified nationally, or you can be certified through your city or your county or your state or federally. All right. Also want to open a small breakfast restaurant. So Titania, you want to open a small breakfast restaurant? There's a grant right now that's just for restaurant owners. Like, because I see I have so much information, I have access to so many grants. HelloAlice.com, please sign up. I'm almost sure that they have a grant right now that is for restaurant owners. And there's also a grant, if any of you that's still with me have a brick and mortar, there's a grant called Main Street, the Main Street grant. Now it closed, but it's going to open back up this year. And it's just for those that have brick and mortar stores, okay? Liana just purchased, yay! Let's give some clouts to Liana. Yes, 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 yes. I will see you in the Facebook group. We are ready to get that money. That's what I'm talking about. We are ready to get this money. Yes, Liana, yes, yes, yes. Susan, I'm a startup for Health and Wellness Center to serve, especially the Black community. Right, I just put a grant was just listed in the webinar. So it's the Women's Sports Foundation. They focus on health and wellness. So definitely apply to their grant, but there are so many other grants in this health and wellness, especially mental health field. Definitely, definitely. I love the idea about the foster kids. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you. I will be joining the Facebook group. Yes, Stacy, I think Stacy joined. Yes, yes, yes. Mary, you want to open up a senior citizen daycare. That is phenomenal. There is money available, okay? So do your due diligence when you do your grant research. So this is why it's helpful to do these grant searches within the community. So for example, you buy the course, you come into the Facebook group, you say, look, I need help finding grants for senior citizens daycare, right? So I'm in there all the time. I'm going to give you some information and some feedback because that's a very specific area. But the more specific you are, the easier it is to find grants, right? So that is phenomenal. That is a phenomenal, phenomenal business. All right, all right, all right. I think we are done. Chef Chambers says, go get that money. Go get that money. How do you get a corporate sponsorship? You ask the corporation for it. I was told by Coca-Cola that my nonprofit was not big enough for them. Oh, you went to the top, right? Yeah, I wouldn't recommend going to the top. I wouldn't. Start small. Start small. If you can imagine how many people go to Coca-Cola for money, that's why I said before, you don't want to necessarily start at the top. You don't want to go to the Gates Foundation to ask for money. Start small. Wherever you're located, Andrea, there are so many corporations within where you're located. Go to them first. Start local. Start local. Okay, so bitters is a tincture to enhance cocktails. That's why I didn't know. I'm not a drinker. I've never drank in my life. So I have like zero information about alcohol, wine, cocktails, all of that. So I'm sorry, I didn't know. I don't know. I think you would probably be better off getting a sponsor, getting sponsorships for what you're trying to do, because you'll have some organizations that would not want to maybe give money to any type of alcohol, but Hennessy, you want to go to Hennessy. Hennessy has a phenomenal grant every year. The Hennessy Foundation, that's part of the Hennessy. I don't even know what they make. I know it's some type of alcohol. They have a foundation. Alyssa, definitely research the Hennessy Foundation. Where would I find grants for fingerprinting services? That's interesting. That's one of those very specific services where you have to ask yourself, what are you using it for? Like, what you have to look at what you're doing, but also how you're using it. Like, what are you using it for? Because you may be able to get grant money in a larger area, right? Not just for fingerprinting, but is that part of a service that you're providing? Maybe you can get money for the service, and then you're just placing the grant money towards whatever resources you need to be able to provide fingerprinting, right? Old Fashions and Manhattans. I'm not sure what that is. Okay. Foster care program, definitely. Talk to the why. What would work for a health and wellness program at a church? It has been going up for 1 year now with no funding, just out of pocket. You need to go to, Gloria, go to your hospitals. So I'm in Cleveland, right? The Cleveland Clinic, that they're renowned, right? They have a multi-million dollar foundation where they give grants. So the first thing you should go to is to your hospitals to ask for funding, because you're working in the health and wellness sphere, even though it's at a church. Go to your hospitals. And I know here, for example, like there's a St. Vincent Charity Hospital that they do give funding to religious-based organizations. So start with your hospital for sure. I want to teach business owners how to improve their cash flow. So that's a service. So again, you're going to have to do your research. Do the research. I gave you about maybe 9 or 10 different research portals that you can go to start finding out where these grants are. Starting a program to prevent recidivism for male prisoners. Do I have a partner? I would get a partner. You want to make sure that prisoners don't go back to jail. That's recidivism. I would get a partner. You want to work with the county jail system or the city jail system, right? You're going to need a partner. You're going to have a partner because you want to be able to work within the prison system, right? So maybe you can provide training before the prisoners even get out of jail, right? That would lessen, if you're providing some type of job skills or soft skills before they even get out of jail, right? That will lessen their chance of going back to jail if they have job skills. So you're going to have to work within the prison system. Okay, faith-based animation, definitely. I told you about the Mustard Seed and some other organizations. So we are wrapping it up here. All right. So I want to see everybody in the Facebook group. It's $197. Please do it now. Don't forget, okay? Because you wait until the weekend, you might forget. I want to see you in the Facebook group. I want you to bring all these wonderful questions into the Facebook group, right? Main Street is for brick and mortar, Latasha. Yes, it's called the Main Street grant. It's for brick and mortar stores. I want to see you. What I don't want to see you is in the same place you're at now, a month from now, right? Saying that you don't know how to get grants, right? Or you don't know where to go. Because I'm here, I am a resource for you. It's a little bit of money. You're asking for free money. Keep in mind, you are asking for free money. Please invest in yourself. It's the beginning of the year. This is a new year. Do something new. You're not going to be able to do the same thing that you did before and get different results. So invest a little bit. It's tax deductible. And I'm here for you. I'm not going to leave you. I'm in the Facebook group and I give you group coaching. All right. If you want to do one-on-one, fantastic. Ferris says, hello, Alice has sessions as to how to correctly fill out their grants. Phenomenal. Hello, Alice. Please sign up to helloalice.com. All right. So I'm going to have to cut it off because it's 2 minutes before 9. And I think I got through most of the questions. So thank you. Oh, Mary, God bless you. Oh my gosh, God bless you. I'm a servant leader. I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve. I know my course should be a lot more expensive, but I also know that it's helping. It's helping organizations. Look what Farrah said. Farrah's church got 5 grants based on what she got out of my course. That's a hallelujah testimonial right there. So I want to thank everybody. Thank you so much. Please look for the replay. It probably won't come until maybe tomorrow morning. You'll get the replay. Thank you everybody for hanging on with me. I appreciate it. You could have been anywhere else, but you wanted help with grant writing, and I hope you got help with grant research and grant writing for women businesses, right? So I'm one of you. I'm here to help you. Thank you so much. Have a blessed evening. Have a safe evening. Have a safe month, and have a fantastic year. And I hope to see you soon in the Facebook group. All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.